and we're going to continue with previewing teams heading into the 2025 IPL. By popular demand, this time we're going to do Mumbai Indians. We've already completed the 4 semi-finalists already, so after Mumbai, obviously 5 to come, and I will do it in an order of which we get the most popular votes on social media. So I'm going to talk about Mumbai, and Mumbai obviously had a really tough year in 2025. They finished in 10th place. They had a number of injuries heading up to the start of the season. They couldn't find any form from a batting point of view. There was the captaincy saga, I guess, which took over. So following on from that drama of the captaincy situation, Mumbai heading into 2025, the first part they needed to concentrate on was retention. And retention gave a really clear indication that these 4 guys, Rohit, Sky, Hardik, and Bumrah, were all committed to Mumbai Indians. That was a really important negotiation that I'm sure would have taken place behind the scenes. So pretty much what they did, Bumrah was paid 18 crore, the rest of them pretty much the same, around the 16 crore mark. They spent 75 on the 4 of those. 4 match winners that any team in the competition would absolutely love to have. They added to that Tilak Verma, who is a big star of the future. Post getting retained, he banged off another couple of hundreds, and he is in fine form heading into the IPL. So those 5 retentions set them up heading into the auction, gave them a really clear indication. They had 4 of their top 5 pretty much settled. Hardik could well be at 6, but 4 of that top 6 settled, all domestic. And then they've got obviously the bowler, the best bowler in the world at the moment in terms of Jasprit Bumrah, locked away there, who has the flexibility to bowl either with the new ball, in the middle overs, and obviously at the back end, and he's an expert in all 3. So good start for Mumbai. They headed to the auction. How did they go? So firstly, they had to find somebody at the top. They locked away Ryan Rickleton. Now, at the time of being appointed or being picked at pretty much 1 crore, there wasn't a lot of murmuring. It was kind of like, well, who's Ryan Rickleton? Now everybody knows who he is. He's had an outstanding SA20 for the Mumbai side, Mumbai Cape Town. He had a tremendous Champions Trophy where he scored 100 in the first game, and he looks all class. So they might have initially thought Ryan Rickleton, when they picked him, that he was going to be a backup player, and he might be there in case they had the choice of either keeping with Robin Mintz or Rickleton. They probably weren't sure, and then when they got Will Jacks towards the back end of the auction, RCB did not choose to retain or right to match Will Jacks. You could see there was some real excitement in the Mumbai Indians camp picking up somebody of that calibre. So initially I would have thought Will Jacks would slot straight in here to open with Rohit Sharma. I'm not so sure now. I think the form of Ryan Rickleton, the fact he's now ensconced at the top of the order in that South African side, the fact he at Wankhede, pace on the ball, he will be outstanding. So a really interesting decision to make. Obviously, if they go with Rickleton, then they don't have to go with Robin Mintz. But I think they will anyway, because he's a power player, he's a left-hander, and he's a guy, another local boy who can slot in here, produces some real power. If they go with Jacks, that basically ticks the off-spin as well. So they basically tick that block. So it'd be really interesting to see which one they go with. I'm not sure. I think they might go with Rickleton. But that's, time will tell on that one. Obviously, Surya Kumar Yadav, is, when he's in form, he is one of the very best, if not the best T20 batsman in the world. So, they will be wanting some match-winning performances from Sky. He is absolutely world-class. He can bat at 3 or 4, so I think that they will interchange between Tilak Verma and Sky at 3 and 4, like they did in the Indian setup. So if they wanted a left-hander, they wanted a right-hander, and that'll depend on conditions or opposition or matchups. But these 2 here will interchange, whether they bat 3 or 4. I don't think it really matters. They also bought Namandir. So Namandir obviously provides the off-spin backup if conditions suit. Can bat at the top, so could provide the cover at the top, but also is a good finisher. And we saw towards the back end of last year's IPL, played an innings of substance at the back end where he showed his power and the ability to finish. So that would have probably enforced or reinforced the fact that Mumbai Indians wanted to get him back. Very well, highly regarded on the domestic circuit, plays for Punjab. Hasn't had a great domestic season, but he does look a very fine player. So I think he will slot in at either 5 or 6. They want to use Hardik as a finisher, I would think. Last year, he sort of moved up and down the order a bit. For India, he slots in at 5 or 6. I think he will do the same here. Depending on how many overs left will determine his entry point. They've got the backup. They brought in Raj Bawa, who's only 21 years old. He came on the scene towards the start of the last mega auction following the under-19 tournament, where he was a revelation. He's left-handed batter, got some power. He got picked up by Punjab, didn't play a huge amount of cricket, and I think he'll be there very much as a backup. But another left-handed player, as he bowls right-arm medium pace. And they've got Bevan Jacobs. Now, Bevan Jacobs is an overseas player from New Zealand. I know him well. He's a big man, big, tall, long levers, hits the ball a long way, is just getting better and better with every opportunity. So domestically in New Zealand, he's banged out the runs. He hits the ball miles. He came over and played for Mumbai in the ILT20, played a handful of games there in between the domestic season, and he is very much a player for the future. How many opportunities he gets this year will depend on the balance of the squad. I talk about Romit Mintz. They've also got Srejit, who's from Karnataka. He came on the scene where he got 150 in a list A game against Mumbai in the domestic circuit. So he can either cover the keeping wise, if they go with Jacks, for example, and they want to go either Mintz or Srejit. Srejit can bat at the top or he can bat in the middle. So he provides that top order cover. So they've sort of got that keeping absolutely sorted from a domestic or an overseas perspective if they go with Ryan Rickelton. Mitchell Santner, I think, is one of the purchases of the auction. I've got a real soft spot for Mitch Santner, seen his development over the years, but he is one of the very best spin bowlers in white ball cricket, whether it be 50 over or T20. And to do that being just a finger spinner without a huge amount of mystery, you've got to be hugely skilled. Mitch Santner is that. He varies his pace. He can bowl into the pads. He can bowl slow and wide. He can bowl in the power play if required. He can bowl towards the back end, maybe not right at the death, but he can bowl towards the back end. And he can bowl to both left and right-handers, which as a finger spinner is a great skill to have. The fact Mitch is there, he's also a power player. Another left-hander, hits sixes, and has become a guy in the international scene who bats 7 and 8. So, and he's scored some valuable runs for New Zealand. So I would think he will make some major contributions there with the bat also. Just looking at the backups for Mitch Santner, Vignesh is another left-arm spinner, quite, I'll say, unproven from Kerala, but gets nice shape on the ball. So it's whether they want a like for like. They've got a whole heap of right-handers in the opposition and they want a left-arm spinner. And Santner's either injured or they've got a different configuration of the overseas. He's very much a backup. Karan Sharma is the experienced leg spinner, who I'll talk about in a moment and could well come in down here in this impact player rule, depending on the shape of the overseas players. So really nice player. He's what I'd call a plug and play. So even if he comes in the 5th game of the year or the 7th, you know that he's going to put in a good performance. So Karan Sharma, I think, was good business at the auction. Slot down here, Deepak Chahar. Now, Mumbai went very hard for him at the auction. They know that he's a match winner. They've obviously been looking at him from a domestic point of view. He's played some first-class cricket, so he's got plenty of overs under his belt. We know that when he was at his best at CSK, he always got power play wickets. And the fact that he swings the ball both ways, he also is very useful with the bat if he's going to slot in here somewhere around number 9. I think that is a great purchase and a great addition to this seam bowling attack. So excited to see Deepak Chahar in here and basically, hopefully he gets a full season in. Injury-free, which would be great for his career. And India has chances of playing for India moving forward as well. In terms of the backup seamers, domestic seamers, you've got Ashwani Kumar, left-arm seamer. Not particularly tall, but great skills. Good change-ups, can swing the ball and then reverse it if conditions allow. But yeah, there was a bit of a play from a number of teams to get him, and you could tell that Mumbai were pretty excited when they managed to pick him up. I presume he's going to be a backup player, but depending on what happens with Bumrah, and I'll talk about him in a moment, he could well have to play a game or two early on in the season. Arjun Tendulkar has been part of the Mumbai squad for a number of years, and provides that left arm angle and a bit of batting ability as a left-hander as well. Trent Boult, Mumbai Indians, when they won titles, Trent Boult played a huge part in terms of taking power play wickets. I guess you combine him with the likes of Deepar Chahar with the new ball. It allows Bumrah to save his overs. He could well bowl one in the power play, could bowl one in the middle, and then they've got two at the back end as a banker. So it gives them the luxury of three guys who can take the new ball effectively, and it means that they don't have to overuse Bumrah early on. They could, but they don't need to. So exciting Bumrah. Straight swap for Trent Boult and Reece Topley. He has had an operation recent times, but he's also arrived at the Mumbai camp and taking a full part. So by the look of it, he looks like he would be available if required. Bit taller, but also bowls at the same time as Trent Boult. Bowls with the new ball, gets shape on the ball, gets that bounce, and then can bowl at the back end as well. But they won't rely on Boult or Topley to bowl two at the back end, probably just one. And then they'll definitely rely on Bumrah, maybe one from Deepar Chahar, but probably Hardik. So if you look at this side here, and I'll talk about Mujib in a minute, you look at this side, you got three frontline seamers who can bowl power play. This power play gets taken care of. You've got Bumrah who can bowl the three phases. You've got Hardik who doesn't now need to bowl with the new ball. He can come towards the back end of the power play, through the middle, and then at the end, which is where he's been used with India in the T20 side of things. So it gives them that flexibility. You've got Mitch Satner as the left-arm spinner, Namandir as the off-spinner, or Will Jacks. And then it'll be interesting to see from a power play point of view whether Mujib comes in here. Because I think if they add Mujib, if that's your side for most of the season, and Mujib comes in, you have got a very, very well-balanced bowling attack. You've got a mystery spinner who can also bowl in the power play. He can close out the power play. He can bowl in the middle. And also, if sides are going after him, he can also bowl at the back end at the death. So that, to me, is quite an exciting side. Now, there are some challenges for Mumbai. Firstly, I'll talk about, Corbin Bosch has come in as a replacement for Lizard Williams. And I'll talk about Corbin Bosch in a minute, because he could well have to play a part early on in the tournament. And the reason why I say that is there are a few, red flags from a Mumbai perspective. One of them is around Jasprit Bumrah and his fitness. And at the moment, we know that he's been injured. He's been out of international cricket, not available for the Champions Trophy. There's talk that he will be joining Mumbai late. I don't know the exact date of when he will arrive, but if he arrives late, obviously he's going to miss at least 2-3 games, maybe a few more. And if that's the case, Mumbai are going to have to reshape this side slightly. And I think what they could do is, because they've got Corbin Bosch, he could potentially be a straight swap for Bumrah. And then instead of playing Mujib, they could play Karan Sharma. So they still keep the four seamers. Corbin Bosch obviously bowled nicely for Mumbai, Cape Town in their win in the SA20. He doesn't have to take the new ball. He often bowls first change, and he can bowl at the back end as well. So that's kind of a straight swap. And then your overseas player, Mujib, would have to probably sit out while Karan Sharma does that wrist spin job. So then you've actually got real quality from a spin bowling point of view as well. The other part to consider is that Hardik is missing the first match. So last season, over 8 penalty, so that'll carry on into this season. So if he misses the first game, how will they look to reshape the team? So if Hardik and Bumrah are both missing, that obviously creates a pretty big hole for that first match. So they can either just go for Raj Bauer and go, look, you're a young lad, we want to get some game time into you. Namandir will slot up, Robin Mintz will slot up, you get Boult will come in about 7. They could do it that way. Or they could go, yep, we want to introduce Bevan Jacobs as that power finisher. We know that he's, hugely powerful. He's going to be a big star for us in the coming years. We want to get a game into him early. And if they do that, obviously that takes up an overseas slot. And therefore, instead of Corbin Bosch coming in, they might have to play someone like an Ashwani Kumari. So it'll be really interesting to see how they deal with those initial absences of Bumrah, most likely. Hardik, definitely for that first game. How they reshape that, whether they see it as an opportunity to bring in a little bit of young talented players, just to say, hey, we'll give you a taste of it. And they could do that with either an overseas in Bevan Jacobs or a domestic player in someone like a Raj Bauer. So some really interesting decisions to make. I think Mumbai have a far better bowling attack than they had last season for a number of reasons. Obviously, Boult and Deepar Chahar are huge additions and allow, as I said, Bumrah to be used when and if he's required in that power play, but mainly from a spin bowling point of view. You've got an absolute banker in Mitch Satner, who makes the side as an all-rounder. So, and you've also got Mujib there. They unfortunately, they spent a lot of money on Ali Ghazanfar from Afghanistan. He was, similar type of bowler to Mujib. Mystery spinner. Unfortunately, he's been ruled out injured. And they've pretty much gone for a like in terms of bringing in Mujib. More experience, but doesn't offer the same with the bat or in the field. He's a bit of a red flag with the field, Mujib. And he's certainly got some work to do in that part of the park. Wankhede is, as I said, you need a good bowling attack at the Wankhede. There's no doubt this batting lineup will stand up anywhere. I mean, that top 5 is the best in the competition or pretty close to it. But that bowling attack is also very good. If the ball swings, and it does at Wankhede, that bowling attack will be very, very threatening in the power play. And that'll allow it to be much easier during those middle overs for the likes of Satner, Hardik, and whether it's Karan Sharma or Mujib to control those middle overs. So if I look at Mumbai Indians, they are a far different looking side than they were last year. The only threat, as I said, is around the Bumrah injury, and no one can replace Jasprit Bumrah. He's absolutely world class. If he misses the whole season, then that'll have a huge impact on where Mumbai will finish. If he plays half the season and then there for the playoffs, I think Mumbai will have a very, very good year. So they've obviously finished 10th last year. I'm actually going to have them in the playoffs this year. And the reason why I've done that is because of that top 5 and of that bowling attack and the likes of Mitchell Satner. So those 4 bowlers are exceptional. So great balanced side. I think Mumbai Indians are in for a very good 2025.